Hey guys, and welcome to the TCC podcast, where we discuss everything coffee.
From the tree straight into your cup.
Our heart's desire is to bring you not just coffee knowledge, but the love of coffee through the knowledge. On this podcast, we will be discussing things like coffee species, varieties,
Farms, processing, roasting.
coffee prices, coffee brewing, of course, coffee shops,
And then, of course, ratios, which is a very important one. Coffee and water and coffee competitions.
and so on and so on. We want to try and discuss every single thing coffee related. For today's topic, we will be discussing the intro of the intro. The reason why we're doing an intro to the intro is because this is the very, very first episode ever being recorded, and the chances of you listening to this is very, very scarce because no one goes all the way back to the very first episode. So my name is Theo Leroux, and I have next to me
Stefan Swartz.
and we want to just chat about coffee knowledge, coffee brewing, coffee roasting, everything coffee related. Now, the reason for shooting the intro of intros is just so that you guys can have kind of an idea what this podcast is all about. So I'm going to have Stefan tell us why he wants to do this podcast. So Stefan, tell the listeners, why the podcast?
Okay, so for me, why I think we need to do this podcast and why I feel we have to is to get knowledge out there, education out there for people that has a love for coffee, that wants to learn more about coffee. And I just think it's a nice way. A podcast is a nice way to have something in your ears when you run, when you drive, when whatever way. Some people do podcasts in strange ways.
Yeah, and you spend quite a bit of time on the road.
I do, and I love doing podcasts on the road because it's driving is natural, so it comes natural. Except if I have to overtake somebody, but and you've got first-hand experience. But
Definitely.
for me, I think podcast is a good way to get info and knowledge in without having to focus too much on like looking at a screen or whatever. So,
100%. I mean, you can't drive and watch a video.
no.
Don't do that. That's not good for
No,
you.
it's not
So if you are driving and you are listening to this, do not leave your steering wheel when you start laughing at us, okay? That's a bad idea.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, no, so well, the reason why I wanted to do this podcast kind of goes back quite a bit. It goes back to about 2016. Now, I got involved in coffee about 2015, and before then, I was not a coffee drinker. As Stefan sits next to me, he can tell you the whole story of how little I really am a coffee drinker.
Yeah, it's a taster, not a drinker.
Yeah, I'm a huge taster. I love tasting things. And when I got into coffee, I was brought up in a normal South African house. So I was taught kids don't drink coffee because coffee is bad for you. You know, and it gives you energy and it keeps you awake. And then, you know, the most important one is my first cup of coffee was horrific. I mean, how was your first cup of coffee ever?
Nah, I actually, you don't know this about me, but I actually started drinking coffee in standard 7, grade 9.
So about 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Okay.
I started, and actually it was real coffee. Somebody did. It was
Coffee flavored tea. I
yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
yeah, basically. So for me, I never liked coffee. I presume I didn't really focus on it.
Yes.
If I had to drink something warm, it was probably tea or hot chocolate or whatever. But
Yeah.
coffee was, I first started drinking coffee at the age of like 14, somewhere
14,
there.
15. Yeah. Well,
But,
my very
yeah.
first cup of coffee, I was probably about 7 years old. My grandma gave me a cup of coffee, and I took a sip. And as I took the sip, I realized this stuff was disgusting. It tasted like ash. So I spat it out, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "But that's disgusting." And she goes, "Yeah, you didn't add anything." And I was like, "What? You want me to add something to this to make it better? Why don't you just make it different?" And she was like, "No, that's the way we make it." And I was like, "Well, in that case, make me something else."
yeah, well.
So she made me hot chocolate, you know.
It makes sense from your perspective. If you want to add something to make something
Better.
it's supposed to be a nice beverage,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the moment you need to make something better, the moment you need to add something to make it
Yeah,
better, why don't you
yeah.
just make it better? in that case. So for me, I just never got into coffee until 2015. I went to my very first coffee tasting, and from there my journey of coffee started, because I tasted specialty coffee for the first time in my life. I'll never forget it. It was an Ethiopia Yirgacheffe grade 1 in a small little coffee roastery called Farmstead Cafe in Pretoria. And funny enough, you guys will hear and see Sean on the show as well in the future. He's our roaster. He still roasts my coffee to this day.
Wow.
Phenomenal roaster.
He definitely is.
Yes.
And
even though he doesn't think so though.
he'll get there. But the thing is, and that's so nice to me to really see that you still remember your first cup specialty.
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
it's something you never liked.
Yes.
Coffee.
Well, the other 4 cups with it was disgusting.
Yeah. But then you discovered something that your palate likes.
Oh yeah.
And like a fruity, acidity type of coffee.
Yes, which brings us to the cup we're drinking today.
Yes, and
the cup we're drinking, Colombia. Give us a bit more info on this coffee.
So it's the Samuel Brumides.
Samuel Bermudez, yes.
There we go. You guys, you're gonna hear I'm not good with pronouncing the names and the words and forms, but we'll get better. So
don't worry, we'll learn Spanish.
So it's a natural Castillo, and it's from cacao. Kaka.
Oh, Kaka, yes, Kaka region, yes.
So is that the region? Okay, so you see, I still need to learn a lot. So for the coffee, its altitude was it's about 1,700 to 1,900 above sea level. It's a natural process. Cherry is cleaned in sterilized water prior to a 48 fermentation at 18 degrees. Then dried over 120 hours over 38 Celsius and 25%
of water of moisture, yes.
Moisture, okay. So and then
over a period of 15 days.
Yeah, over a period of 15 days.
I like it. Now, for those of you that just heard all of that information and is going, what the hell? He was reading it from the box, because to memorize all of that information is basically impossible. Now, why all of that information? Well, all of those different things have an influence on the coffee, and those are the type of things that we want to be discussing on this podcast. We want to be talking about fermentation and washing processes or drying processes, and how many hours of drying and all of that, and altitudes where the coffee grows out,
and stuff like that impacts the coffee flavor. And
yes.
And for me, when I first got into or started learning about the specialities, these things were I'm like, why is all these things so important?
Yes.
Can't I just drink my coffee?
Exactly. And, well, especially if you grew up on Ricoffee, which is a coffee flavored tea. That's 65% chicory and 35% Robusta coffee grounds.
Yeah. No, we won't go there. Any case, so all these things are really important, and as I've learned about these things, I realize that it really plays a big role in the taste of your cup of coffee.
Of your coffee itself, yes.
Yeah, and from where it's planted all the way down to where you drink it, the whole process, and that's what we are here for, is to learn all about these things.
Exactly.
And give the people about info about these things, and
that's it.
And that makes a big difference in your cup of coffee, and why I now only drink specialities. So.
Well, I wouldn't say that I only drink specialities. Again said, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I love tasting things. I actually go out of my way to taste things that some people say are disgusting and other people say is lovely, just so that I can make up my own mind. And that's something very important for you guys listening to this.
True, yeah.
Go out and taste every single coffee so that you actually make up your own mind about what you think about the coffee. Yes, your friend might not like the coffee, but your friend might drink dark roast and you like nice acidic beverages. Yeah. Then for crying out loud, go taste a cup of, acidic coffee. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
And like I've never liked espresso before. I've never really tasted it before. And I thought I knew something about coffee. I was only drinking flat whites.
Hey, well, you were drinking single espresso flat whites.
Yeah, yes. not the restricted flat whites. But the thing is, when I really tasted a good espresso that was extracted perfectly, and everything that came together with the time and the yield and all those stuff. And it really was a nice espresso. I fell in love, and
Me as well,
from there on I went to ristretto. So I like the punch.
Hey,
I like
baby.
the punch in the morning.
1 to 1.3 ristrettos coming right up.
They have to, man. And it's nice. I enjoy it. I like the high acidity. I like the punch, and that's my palate. I enjoy that. So
I also,
so
yes.
with filters and that kind of stuff, also 1 to 10, 1 to 12 ratios.
Yeah,
Stuff like that, yeah.
We like to say there's no cup of coffee out there that's right and no cup of coffee that is wrong. All cups of coffee are just different. And at the end of the day, our palates are different. So therefore we can't be drinking the same stuff. That's boring. Now, with all that knowledge or with all that information that we just gave, through to you guys as the listeners, it brings me to the point of why I wanted to get into coffee, or why I want to get into this podcast. As I learned all of these different things, getting involved in farms and going out, trying to taste all 3,000 Arabica species, varieties, and so on and so forth, I started noticing that the coffee industry is way bigger than I ever thought it was. I actually thought that the brown beans came out from under the soil. Like, we would dig it out of the ground and then just make it. I never knew coffee grew on a tree inside a cherry.
Yeah, me neither. So
yeah,
that was very interesting. And I mean, eating the cherries are
oh
amazing.
yeah, I know. I mean, how amazing is eating coffee cherries?
but in
now we're kind of addicted to that stuff.
Yeah. And I also didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't even think about it. I just like I only knew ground coffee, so I didn't even knew about the
instant.
Beans. Yeah, so instant coffees. And when I started going over to plungers and stuff like that, I knew ground coffee. That's it. So I didn't even know about it, how the tree looks, if it was
elevation,
a tree,
even
whatever.
which countries it came from. I didn't care.
I wanted coffee.
Exactly.
But in any case.
So we have this joke that there's 3 types of coffee drinkers in the world. And if you keep on listening to this podcast, you will hear us express the 3 different types of coffee drinkers. But for today's topic is the why. Yeah. So as I learned all of this information, I noticed that we obviously don't understand it. So I started looking into it a lot deeper, and then realized that there's only one crucial part of the whole coffee industry that really, really suffers. And for me, that was the farms.
Yes.
And so, seeing what the farmers get paid after a cup of coffee is sold. Now today, we own 6 coffee shops and growing, day by day, strength by strength. And hopefully we'll get to the 100. And of course, the reason for opening 100 coffee shops would be to employ people. We believe in people. Yes. And this is where my heart then got hooked, was the people of the farms. They were really suffering just to, feed their families. There's no education in some of these rural areas where they farm coffee. There's definitely no luxuries, and they're getting paid nothing because of the fact that coffee was registered as a coffee commodity on the stock exchange. So the stock exchange kind of influences the price. They say the price goes up whenever nobody has coffee to give. I mean, that's when the farmers need the money, is when they've lost their crops or, something like that. Now all of a sudden we need to pay more for it. And I really got so emotional around that specific subject that I decided I need to try and find a way to make this better. And so the way that I thought, okay, I'm going to get into this, I'm going to try and make the coffee ecosystem, the coffee industry better. Now at that time I was kind of involved in cryptocurrencies, and so I was like, one day I would like to start a cryptocurrency that in some way or another, I don't know how yet, but I can actually help the coffee industry to be more financially profitable, and to uplift the standard and give some stability and security to all the farmers, and actually help them build a living. Now, of course, with all of that said, and we'll in the future take those stories, those historical stories of how we all got into coffee and all that. We'll take it a lot deeper. We'll actually invite the whole team to come to the table, and you guys will meet Mr. Costa Rica, Jovan, and Mr. Tianis, the half budget guy. And now in the future you guys can laugh about that because he'll tell you exactly why. But we'll have everybody here, and we'll each introduce ourselves and tell our story and and bring it all to the table so that you guys can get to know us, and then hopefully we can get to know you.
Yeah.
Now, on that point, I would like to go over to the next question. The next question for me is what? What are we going to do to try and help this whole coffee ecosystem? So, Stefan, in your situation, what do you want to do in your personal journey, towards discovering coffee? What do you want to do to better this whole coffee ecosystem?
Well, like you said, it's about the people, and I've always had a heart for the people, and I think that it's we can say it like that. It's cheap labor.
It is cheap labor.
At the end of the day, it's cheap labor,
and it's sad.
Yeah, and the thing is, those people, that's all they know. They don't have education. They don't have good nutrition. They don't have
Right.
proper water. They don't have all
Some
those.
don't even have clean water.
Yeah, and
Yes.
for me that's heartbreaking. And the thing is, for me, I think, is to provide value.
That's it.
Value in the bigger perspective, in all areas of coffee, from farm all the way to your cup.
That's
like
it.
like we said. So for me, that's what I want to do, is, or what I think the TCC is, why we created it.
Right. We started it for that reason.
For that reason, is to
Yes.
give value to the people and to get people educated.
That's it. Because that adds value.
That adds value.
Yes.
Because the more educated they get, the better they can harvest. They can pick better cherries. They
Right.
know what to pick, why they have to pick this and leave that.
Exactly.
And then from there on, going to the processing side, getting the best cherries out, the best beans out, to get a better price on it.
Preparing with the best flavors.
Yeah, and these days there's so many ways of creating flavors in
Oh,
coffee,
yeah.
naturally.
Amino acid wise.
Yes,
Like,
and I mean that's adding value to the coffee. And at the end of the day, like we are drinking now, we're having a valuable coffee, and
right.
that we have here. So for me, it's to add value. That's the main thing. I think why what is it all about, is to add value to the coffee ecosystem.
Right. Yeah, straight, like you mentioned, all the way from the farm into your cup. I mean, at the end of the day, the value aspect, I always say I'm willing, and I'm sure most people out there, and like, if you're not part of these, please let us know, because I would assume that everybody's like this. I would pay any price for something that I want, as long as the thing that I'm buying is giving me value. So I don't want to be paying expensive for cheap stuff, but I'll definitely be paying expensive for quality. I want value for my money. Now, you walk into a coffee shop, you have a cup of coffee, you take your first sip, and it tastes like charcoal. For me, for my personal palate, that's not value for my money. So we believe that knowledge creates respect. Respect creates appreciation, and appreciation just creates more love. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want people to love coffee more than they love it before they get to this podcast.
And when they know what they have in their cup, and we can give them all the details from where it started.
Right.
I mean, the love for the
that
coffee.
Value.
That at the end of the day, they're gonna appreciate that cup of coffee way more than just knowing it's coffee.
Right.
So now you know from farm to cup, the whole process went through, and that's value. We're giving them the value.
How many women were involved, or how many pickers were involved in picking the coffee? Like how much rain it took to For in case you guys don't know this, and I'll probably mention this again in the future. Did you know, Stefan, that it takes 300 to 400 liters of water to create 1 cup of coffee?
Yeah.
All the way from the farm to your cup. So
that's a lot of water.
We take a cup of coffee in our hand and we go, 250 mils of coffee. Great. But it actually took 300 to 400 liters of water from the day we started feeding that small little soldier, turning into a small little coffee tree, then growing up to give us our first cherries, then taking that and processing it, getting it dry, going through the whole process into my cup. Takes 400 liters of water per cup.
That's a lot of water.
That's crazy, man.
And I don't think nobody realizes it, that it takes so much effort that's been put into having a tree grown, having the right soil, having the right pickers, getting the people that's involved. I mean that's just so much effort going into it, and I
Yes.
think people don't understand how much effort goes into it, and
It's so labor intensive, eh?
and they don't understand the why the cup is so expensive.
Right.
Well, expensive, not some people think it's
Well,
expensive.
for
like,
value.
Yeah, for value.
Yes.
So for me, it's if you know what happens from farm to your cup,
Now I appreciate it more.
you're gonna understand the value of it, and then you're gonna
Yes.
understand why it is the price it is. If it's a nice point 85 or whatever specialty coffee,
Yes.
then you understand why it's that expensive,
Right.
because the labor that went into it
That's it.
is it's
Now to pay
giving you the
between
value.
$5 and $10 for a cup is actually nothing, because the value inside the cup, because of the knowledge,
Yeah.
for me gives me so much more appreciation and so much more love for it.
Definitely, yeah. I agree.
like it.
Yeah.
No, it's that's why we're sitting here.
Yeah.
And we want to obviously get you guys involved in this, not just listening to it, but actually being part of this journey, because we're still discovering coffee. We don't know everything about it.
Definitely, yeah.
The whole purpose of this podcast is to get a subject, and we come and chat about it after doing research. We'll give our personal experience around it. We'll get some proper research that we can bring some stats in and all of that. Interview some world barista champs. I've already discussed with a few people out there in the world to join us, so that we can interview them and actually bring their value
Yes.
to you, and then it also just makes more sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, of course, where do we want to start?
Yeah, that's the next question I actually wanted to ask is
Yes.
where do we start with this? How are we gonna
Well, in
where do we go
2016,
from here?
when I got into this whole idea, I had no clue where I was going to go. Because I was just, I had one little small coffee shop, and I was serving 3 specialty coffees, which were fairly low points. Because in my area, people didn't have any respect for coffee. So you want to pay more than $2 for a cup of coffee? Are you crazy? Like, Starbucks wouldn't work in this area, just not at all. And so through my journey, I discovered a few coffee farms. I got involved. There's one specific farm that we're very involved with. And through them, we actually have the opportunity and the ability to go so much deeper on chain. Now, the idea for the crypto coin is to kind of get all of the information on chain and available to every single person in hand. You can take your phone, scan a packet of coffee, and have all of this detail of that specific coffee in your hand immediately, and go, wow, I definitely want to try this coffee, because there was only 35 ladies involved in picking this coffee. There was 4 guys that put hours into their week to process this coffee, to get it to that perfect flavor. Then it traveled sometimes 5,000 miles to a roaster, and then he throws it into that roaster and has to put so much knowledge and patience into the roasting of that coffee to give us that perfect flavor that we feel has value to what I'm tasting for the money that I'm willing to give. And so we got involved on Binjati coffee farm, or Binjati, as we would pronounce it normally. Binjati, all the way there from Durban in South Africa, Durban, KZN. And so we have joined Desmond in his journey in creating logs to see how we can get all of this information on chain, so that if someone in America or someone in the UK or someone in Australia buys one of his packets of coffees, and their friend goes, oh, where's this coffee from? Oh, bro, take out your phone, just take a photo of that packet. It will have all of the information on there, and immediately right there in your hand, you've got all of the information that you need. So where? Well, we're starting in South Africa, because that's where we are. From there, we'll go up in Africa. We'll work with Bahu processing plant with Emmanuel, phenomenal guy. We'll work with Longmall's projects, go up in Africa, and as we get through Africa, of course, out to the rest of the world. So where? The whole world, man. The whole world needs to appreciate coffee.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree. And like you said, with that, this is where we start. We have farming in South Africa. And,
Yes.
And the nice thing about it is we actually can get good quality coffee
Exactly.
because of the knowledge that we're applying there and giving theirs and learning.
That's it.
Learning.
So learning, man.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And I mean, Africa's got some great coffees.
Oh yes, I mean Ethiopia,
the birthplace,
the birthplace or the
yeah.
founding place of
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
And we'll have a whole episode on the history and different perspectives of how coffee was found and how it traveled and all of that.
Yeah.
But yes, now of course the next question is how? How will we be doing this? Well, the way we'll be doing this is by getting together twice a week with multiple different people, creating a half an hour show just for you. Having a cup of coffee, telling you what we're having, and of course, if you have your own roastery or your own coffee shop and you would like for us to actually drink your coffee on the show, please reach out to us. We'd love to get a bag of your coffee and support you financially that way as well. I mean, through us buying a bag of coffee from you, it helps you to be able to buy more from your roaster, which helps your roaster buy more from the importer or exporter, who helps buy more coffee from the processor, who buys it directly from the farm. So through us sitting talking about coffee and having a cup and supporting you, we are supporting the farm.
Yes, definitely. And then we've got a website. It's just a landing page for now, that we have a roadmap on what we want to achieve in the next year.
Correct.
So, and well, it changes as we go, because
we'll update it as we go.
Yeah, as we go. So at the end of the day, we're gonna have some competitions. We're gonna have some road trips to roasteries, to coffee shops. Get involved. Get the community to join us to support the roastery or the coffee shop, and go to the farm. Take people there if there's people that wants to join.
Oh, definitely.
Go do harvesting there. That will be amazing. I'm looking very forward to that. That's gonna be awesome.
Oh, and next year's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah,
man.
and then you guys can follow us on the website and on the landing page to see what we're gonna do and what time and dates we're gonna have it be when the stuff is going to happen.
Yes, when we're running our events or when we're out on road trips and stuff like that.
So at the end of the day, and then going forward to 1st of October.
1st of October 2022.
It's the big day for us.
Yeah, we want to launch the TCCoin, the trading coffee coin.
Yes, and I think that's I'm excited about that, because
very much.
I've learned from you. You taught me about cryptocurrencies, and I'm really looking forward to having a currency that can be exchanged anywhere in the world, easy, fast, and everybody can use it.
Right.
So for me, I'm excited about that. But you guys can follow us on the website, our journey to the launching of the coin.
That's it. Yeah. So I mean, we have the website, we've got our Facebook, we've got the Twitter. We're on Instagram. Our website is on our Instagram in the bio, and go check it out. It's not completed yet. We're updating it literally as we're going. So we like building the plane while flying in the air, and so we would love for you to join us in our journey towards growing in knowledge, growing the coffee ecosystem, helping one another, and most of all, discovering new coffees that will make the whole coffee ecosystem better.
Yeah.
Now, on these podcasts, we want to bring value. So the current template for our podcast going from here on forward would be, we come in, we tell you which coffee we're drinking for the day. From there, we will go through to the topic at hand. So our next topic would actually be coffee species. We're going to be chatting a bit about our experience with coffee species like Robustas, Arabicas, and so on and so forth. And then every week we will come in and tell you what the next episode is going to be. And we really want to grow in our knowledge, but in our research, and in then taking that information over to you, and then kind of ending off with a historical implement of that specific topic. So we want to bring some historical data to you as well, like how was this found, or in which time was it found. So for instance, like the Chemex. I mean, I love Chemex coffee. Chemex is a phenomenal coffee method.
Definitely.
I didn't know it was born on a specific day. I mean, in 1941, a guy got fed up with drinking filter coffee. He hated these coffee particles floating around his mouth. So he went out as a glass maker, created this very unique glass tube or glass cylinder or shaped thing, and he had to then design a specific filter to create his palette of coffee through that. So in case you didn't know that.
Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that, and I understand, because it's one of the cleanest cups you can get in coffee.
Like you want someone to fix a problem, give him a problem. He will find a solution.
Definitely, yeah.
And then, of course, to finish each one of these episodes off, we want to ask 3 questions. The questions that we will be asking on every single topic or subject that we will be discussing. First question is, why is this topic or this subject important? And then we'll go into our personal answer on that. But we want to ask it to you guys as the listeners. Second question would be, how does this subject or this topic actually make my coffee better? And last but not least, how can I actually go out and apply the knowledge that I just learned from this podcast to make my coffee life better?
Yeah, and I think that when you guys apply the knowledge, you can also come back to us and maybe give us something new and interesting.
Right. We still need to learn from you as well. We don't know everything.
And that's the fun part of this whole journey of coffee. We learn every day.
That's it.
And by doing research and doing experiments.
That's it. So that brings us to the episode of the intro of the intro. So from me, Theo Leroux,
and Stefan Swartz,
we hope that this journey can bring you to a point where you can discover your happy place in every single cup of coffee. Next episode will be coffee species. So make sure to subscribe so you can catch and start the journey towards that with us. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.